I've always been deeply moved by watching a musician on stage. Fingers moving so fast they blur. They almost look like they've traveled to a different world, one that we cannot quite comprehend. Time has collapsed into a single, endless moment of pure creation. Or maybe you know this feeling yourself. Maybe you've coded for what felt like 20 minutes, only to look up and discover hours had vanished. Maybe you've been so absorbed in writing, in problem solving, in creating, that you forgot to eat, forgot where you were, forgot you even existed.
This is flow, the kind of deep engagement where activity feels effortless. However, we're misunderstanding what it actually takes to get there. Our culture has made two opposite mistakes about flow. On one hand, we've turned it into another productivity hack, cramming tasks into our to-do lists, hoping to manufacture peak performance. But then, on the other extreme, some think that since the flow state should be effortless, we don't need to work for it, or that flow is some mystical state that just happens to the lucky few. Both are wrong. Here's what we're missing. Flow feels effortless, but it's built on a foundation of very deliberate effort. The musician whose fingers dance across the keys didn't get there by accident. They spent years, maybe decades, building the skills that make that effortless moment possible.
There are 4 stages on the road to mastery, and understanding these changes everything about how we approach flow. First, unconscious incompetence. You have no idea you're bad at something. You probably don't even quite know that this thing exists. Stage 2, conscious incompetence. Now you know what you don't know. You realize how far you have to go. This is where most people quit. It's uncomfortable. It's humbling, but it's also where the real magic starts. Stage 3, conscious competence. You can do it, but it takes all your focus. You have to think through every step, monitor every movement. You're competent, but it's effortful. Stage 4, unconscious competence. This is where flow lives. You've internalized the skills so completely that they become automatic. Your conscious mind can step back and let your deeper intuitions take over. Here's the crucial insight. You cannot skip these stages. You cannot hack your way to unconscious competence. The effortless state of flow is earned through years of effort and practice. Mihály Csíkszentmihályi discovered this in his groundbreaking 1975 study of composers. He tracked their creative process in real time, and what he found shattered our romantic notions about inspiration. 100% of the composers who experienced flow had spent years mastering their craft first. The flow state came only after they had built such deep competence that their conscious mind could finally get out of the way. But here's where it gets interesting. Even with that competence, flow still required very specific conditions in the moment. Think about a surgeon performing an operation. They're not thinking, save this life. They're thinking, suture this vessel, stop this bleeding, repair this tear. Their hands move with practiced precision, while their eyes track the monitors, reading feedback that would be meaningless to you or me, but speak volumes to their trained mind. Years of training allow them to focus on immediate, specific tasks while trusting their deeper knowledge to guide the overall process. This points us to the first requirement for flow: clear, immediate goals. Not grand visions, but specific, actionable targets that your competent mind can lock onto. Notice how the surgeon's expertise allows them to break down the complex into the simple. Without that foundation, save this life would be overwhelming paralysis. Second requirement, immediate feedback. And this is where things get fascinating. In 1988, researchers studied factory workers in Tokyo, people operating complex machinery that required precision and speed. Picture these workers, hands moving in practiced rhythms, eyes constantly scanning their equipment. Half of them received traditional feedback, monthly performance reviews, quarterly bonuses, the usual corporate structure. But the other half received something different: real-time error signals from their machines, a subtle vibration when pressure dropped, a gentle tone when temperature shifted, a light when timing was off. These weren't harsh alarms. They were like whispered corrections from the machines themselves. The difference was remarkable. Workers receiving immediate feedback experienced flow states 300% more often. Their brains had learned to dance with the machinery, making micro adjustments in real time. When you've built competence, your brain craves this moment-by-moment information about how it's performing. Third, the challenge-skill balance. This is where your years of preparation pay off. Research shows that flow occurs when a task is approximately 4% beyond your current ability, what neuroscientists call productive tension. But here's the key. You need that base of competence to accurately calibrate what 4% beyond even means. Without skill, everything feels either impossibly hard or boringly easy. There's no sweet spot because you can't sense where you actually are. If you're thinking right now about something you want to master, something that intimidates you slightly, good. That intimidation is your compass pointing toward where flow might eventually live. Fourth, autonomy within structure. Jazz musicians need chord progressions to improvise. Their years of practice give them the freedom to play within constraints. A completely blank canvas without guidelines is paralyzing. A canvas with boundaries becomes a playground, but only if you have the skills to play.
Einstein's experience perfectly illustrates this progression from conscious to unconscious competence. He described his breakthroughs in relativity as muscle memories in the mind. He spent years struggling with concepts, wrestling with equations, filling blackboards with failed attempts. He built his competence through deliberate, often frustrating effort. And then, suddenly, the pieces would arrange themselves, not because he stopped trying, but because his years of preparation had created the conditions where effortless insight could emerge. His conscious mind could finally step aside and let the deeper patterns he'd internalized take over. Now, here's what becomes clear when you understand this framework. Flow isn't something you chase directly. It's something you earn through preparation, then allow to emerge. But let me be honest about something else. Flow produces a dopamine surge that mirrors cocaine. The same neurotransmitter pathways light up, the same reward centers activate, but unlike cocaine, flow's crash is invisible, socially acceptable, even celebrated. Hayao Miyazaki, the legendary animator, once confessed something that haunts me. I lose months with my family when I'm creating. Months of birthdays, bedtimes, conversations. And when I'm in the zone, I don't regret it. I can't regret it. I'm not sure that's entirely healthy, but I know this. Many of us who've tasted deep flow would say it's perhaps the most elevated human experience there is. Eventually, the deepest focus happens when you forget you're focusing at all. But that forgetting is only possible when the underlying skills are so well developed that they run themselves. So here's the real path to flow. Embrace the effortful stages. Build your competence deliberately. Practice until conscious competence becomes unconscious competence. Create the conditions where flow can emerge, then trust your preparation enough to let go. Flow teaches us something profound about the nature of mastery, that the highest human achievements come not from avoiding hard work, but from working so hard and so well that the work eventually transcends effort. In the end, flow isn't about talent or luck. It's about what becomes possible when preparation meets opportunity and skill meets surrender.